Johnny Carson Epoxied the 9 Golden Age guests who were actually evil. For over 30 years, Johnny Carson welcomed America's most beloved stars into millions of living rooms every night. They laughed. They smiled. They told stories that made the nation fall in love with them. But when the cameras stopped rolling, Johnny Carson kept a secret. According to those closest to him, the man known as television's kindest host quietly maintained a private blacklist, a list of celebrities he believed were not just difficult, but truly dangerous human beings. Stars the public adored, legends Hollywood protected, and guests Carson believed should never be trusted, especially around vulnerable people. In his final years, Carson finally admitted the truth. Behind the charm, the glamour, and the carefully crafted smiles were predators, bullies, and manipulators hiding in plain sight. Tonight, we're revealing the 9 Golden Age icons Johnny Carson secretly despised, and the chilling backstage moments that made him realize evil doesn't always look evil on camera. Joan Crawford, the woman who turned on and off. When Joan Crawford walked into the Tonight Show studio in 1970, time seemed to bend around her. She arrived hours early. Perfect posture. Immaculate makeup. Every movement controlled, every breath measured. To America, she was royalty. An untouchable icon from Hollywood's golden age. To Johnny Carson, something felt wrong. Before the cameras ever rolled, the tension had already begun. 4 pages of lighting demands. Exact chair angles. Studio temperature locked to the degree. Not because she wanted to look good, but because she needed control. Then came the moment no one expected. A young production assistant, barely 20, entered Joan's dressing room with water she had personally requested. She was polite, nervous, invisible, and Joan Crawford exploded. Her voice cut through the hallway like broken glass. Degradation. Words so vicious that seasoned crew members froze where they stood. The assistant ran out in tears. Joan demanded she be fired, and that was when Johnny Carson noticed something chilling. When the red light turned on, Joan Crawford transformed. The rage vanished. The cruelty evaporated. She smiled. She laughed. She played the part America loved. Between commercial breaks, the smile shut off like a switch. Stone-faced. Silent. Empty. Johnny tried, he always did, to reach her. To find the human behind the legend. There was nothing there. After the show, Carson turned to Ed McMahon and said quietly, "I've interviewed corpses with more warmth." Years later, when Mommy Dearest revealed allegations of unspeakable abuse behind closed doors, Johnny wasn't shocked. He simply nodded, because he had seen it already, not in decades of headlines, but in a few terrifying hours backstage. Fame doesn't change who you are. It reveals who you've always been, especially in how you treat those who have nothing to give you back. To Johnny Carson, Joan Crawford wasn't a diva. She was a warning. Frank Sinatra, the charming bully. When Frank Sinatra stepped onto the Tonight Show stage, the room changed instantly. Not because he demanded it, not because he asked, but because power arrived with him. To the audience at home, Sinatra was effortless charm. The smooth voice, the wink, the stories that sounded like late-night whiskey and legend. Sitting across from Johnny Carson, he looked relaxed, friendly, in control. Behind the curtain, it was something else entirely. Sinatra never came alone. He arrived with men who didn't belong to television. They didn't smile. They didn't speak. They watched. Crew members felt it immediately. The pressure, the silence, the sense that one wrong move could turn ugly. A cameraman once said it felt less like a TV studio and more like being evaluated. Then came the incident Johnny never forgot. A floor manager, a veteran, a professional, did his job and gave Sinatra the standard 3-minute warning. Routine. Polite. Necessary. Sinatra grabbed him by the tie. Pulled him close. "Nobody tells me when I've got 3 minutes," he said. "I go on when I'm ready." From his monitor, Johnny saw everything. For a moment, he considered canceling the segment. Ratings stopped him. Reality always did. But something shifted. Later, during a commercial break, Sinatra made a cutting remark about a female staff member. loud enough for others to hear. A casual cruelty. A test of dominance. Johnny didn't laugh. He leaned in and said quietly, firmly, "We don't talk about my staff that way here." Sinatra froze. No one spoke to him like that. Not in rooms like this. When the cameras came back on, both men smiled, professionals until the end. But the warmth was gone. Johnny's questions shortened. The air thinned. Afterward, Carson turned to his producer. "I don't care what ratings he brings," he said. "Once a year. Maximum." To Johnny Carson, Sinatra wasn't dangerous because of rumors or reputation. He was dangerous because of how easily he used fear, and how comfortable he was doing it. True character isn't revealed by applause. It's revealed by how someone behaves when they believe no one can stop them. Frank Sinatra sang like an angel. But power, unchecked, taught Johnny Carson something darker. Charm can be a weapon. And sometimes the most dangerous people are the ones everyone loves. Orson Welles, the genius who thought rules didn't apply. Orson Welles didn't walk into The Tonight Show. He arrived. But commanding. A voice that filled the room before he ever spoke a word. To the audience, he was brilliance incarnate. The boy wonder who made Citizen Kane, the mind that reshaped cinema, the storyteller who seemed carved from legend. To Johnny Carson, he was something else. A problem. The trouble started before Welles even reached the studio. Writers prepared questions carefully, aware they were dealing with one of the greatest filmmakers who ever lived. Welles glanced at the page, then crossed out every single question. "Pedestrian," he said. "Obvious." He handed back an empty sheet. Johnny smiled. Inside he tightened. Live television ran on rhythm, timing, discipline. Welles believed none of that applied to him. During one appearance, Welles was scheduled for 7 minutes. He stayed for 25. Johnny gave the signals, the subtle hand cues, the practiced pauses that guests learned to respect. Welles saw them all, and kept talking. 2 guests were cut entirely. A show rebuilt on the fly. Backstage, it didn't improve. Welles refused to address assistants directly. He spoke about them, never to them. "Tell the girl I need water." Ask the boy to adjust the light. As if they weren't standing right beside him. Then came the moment that crossed the line. Mid-interview, Welles began giving instructions, not to Johnny, but to the camera operators. Angle changes. Framing. Movement. From his own couch. Johnny felt his jaw tighten. This was not Orson Welles' film. This was The Tonight Show. After the taping, Johnny didn't raise his voice. He didn't vent. He said something far colder. Genius doesn't excuse everything. To Carson, Welles represented a specific danger. Not cruelty, not malice, but ego so massive it erased everyone else in the room. Talent became entitlement. Brilliance became permission. Publicly, Johnny praised Welles. He respected the work, the legacy, the impact. Privately, he saw a cautionary tale. A man who once changed an art form, and later believed the world should still bend around him because of it. Greatness is not a lifetime pass. No matter how brilliant the mind, respect is not optional. And collaboration is not weakness. Orson Welles reminded Johnny Carson that genius can illuminate, or blind. And when ego replaces humility, even legends forget how to listen. Bette Davis, the queen of verbal violence. Bette Davis didn't enter a room. She challenged it. Sharp eyes. Razor voice. A presence that dared you to interrupt, and punished you if you tried. To audiences, she was electric. A living legend with a tongue as famous as her performances. Every appearance promised fireworks. Johnny Carson admired her talent. What he didn't expect was the collateral damage. From the moment the cameras warmed up, Davis treated the couch like a battlefield. If another guest spoke too long, especially a younger woman, she cut them off mid-sentence. If laughter wasn't directed at her, she bristled. Control mattered. Tension mattered more. Behind the scenes, it escalated. She demanded whiskey before taping, not unheard of, but dangerous in her case. As the alcohol flowed, so did the insults. Staff members learned to avoid her dressing room unless absolutely necessary. And then came the rehearsal. A cue card holder hesitated, just a second too long. Davis unleashed. Words sharp enough to draw blood. Public enough to humiliate. The room went silent. Johnny Carson stood up. Quietly. Calmly. No theatrics. No anger. "Miss Davis," he said, "on this show, we speak to everyone with respect, or we don't speak at all." She froze. Bette Davis wasn't used to being stopped. For a moment, the legend looked genuinely stunned. Then she backed down. The storm passed. But something stayed with Johnny. Because unlike some difficult guests, Davis wasn't clueless. She wasn't insecure. She wasn't lost. She was deliberate. After her final appearance, Johnny turned to his producer and said, "That's enough. Life's too short to be verbally flogged, no matter how many Oscars someone has. Talent does not justify cruelty. Power does not excuse humiliation." Bette Davis taught Johnny Carson a hard truth. Some people confuse strength with dominance, and honesty with harm. And no legacy, no matter how brilliant, earns the right to tear others down. Mickey Rooney, the smiling boundary crosser. Mickey Rooney was supposed to be harmless. That's how everyone saw him. The eternal boy wonder. The face of Hollywood innocence frozen in time. By the time he sat across from Johnny Carson, Rooney was no longer a child star, but he still carried that reputation like armor. Behind the scenes, it didn't protect anyone else. From the moment Rooney arrived, the energy shifted. He moved fast, talked faster, joked constantly. Too close, too familiar. To the audience, it played as charm. To the staff, it felt like danger disguised as nostalgia. Young female assistants dreaded his bookings. Not because he was loud, not because he was difficult, because he didn't respect boundaries. A hand held too long when water was delivered. A wrist caught just before someone could leave. Personal questions that weren't jokes, only framed like them. Rooney laughed through it all, as if making it playful made it acceptable. During one appearance, he was visibly drunk. Words slurred. Stories tangled. He drifted into an anecdote that turned inappropriate fast, too fast. Johnny cut him off on air. During the break, Johnny asked the question no host wants to ask. Is he drunk? Or is this just who he is now? What troubled Johnny most wasn't malice. It was confusion. Rooney seemed genuinely surprised when people recoiled. Like a man frozen in a different era. One where women were expected to tolerate discomfort for the sake of someone else's ego. After one particularly embarrassing taping, a young actress appeared shaken. Johnny sought her out personally. "That's not how professionals act on my show," he told her. "And it won't happen again." And it didn't. Rooney's appearances became rare. Pre-taped. Controlled. Because Johnny Carson understood something painful. Harm doesn't always come from monsters. Sometimes it comes smiling, wrapped in fame, nostalgia, and the excuse of another time. Intent does not erase impact. Charm does not cancel consent. Mickey Rooney reminded Johnny Carson that behavior doesn't get grandfathered in, and history is never an excuse to cross the line. Zsa Zsa Gabor, the diva who bent time. Zsa Zsa Gabor didn't just appear on The Tonight Show. She took it hostage. To viewers, she was delicious chaos, glamorous, outrageous, dripping with accent and attitude. A walking punchline who flirted with Johnny and turned her many marriages into comedy gold. Off camera, the joke stopped. Her demands arrived days before she did. Exact temperature. Exact lighting. Orchids only, never carnations. Perrier water. 3 ice cubes. No more. No less. And that was just the beginning. No younger female guests on the same episode. Her own lighting technician flown in. Multiple assistants, all focused on her alone. Staff thought the writer was satire. It wasn't. If one detail was wrong, Zsa Zsa refused to leave her dressing room. Taping stalled. Schedules collapsed. Other guests waited, forgotten. Once, when her preferred foundation brand wasn't available, she erupted. A shouting match echoed through the makeup department. She demanded someone be sent to Beverly Hills immediately. Johnny had to intervene. "Zsa, honey," he said gently, "you look beautiful already." Let's save the cosmetic emergency for another day. She smiled and stepped onto the stage as if nothing had happened. That was what unsettled Johnny most. How effortlessly she separated chaos from performance. Because every minute she delayed cost the crew hours. Overtime, missed breaks, exhaustion. After one especially late arrival, 40 minutes, followed by complaints about her introduction, Johnny snapped. Next time she wants on, he told his producer, tell her we've renamed the show The Tonight Show starring Zsa Zsa Gabor, and I'll be happy to be her sidekick. And yet, she kept coming back. Because when the red light hit, Zsa Zsa delivered. She was funny, memorable, ratings gold. Johnny understood the uncomfortable truth. Some people don't mistreat others out of anger, but out of indifference. Being entertaining doesn't make harm harmless. Zsa Zsa Gabor taught Johnny Carson that charm can excuse 1,000 inconveniences, but it still leaves exhaustion in its wake. And sometimes, the most draining people aren't cruel, they simply believe the world should wait for them. Shelley Winters, the emotional powder keg. Shelley Winters never knew how to enter a room quietly. She arrived like a weather system, unpredictable, loud, and impossible to ignore. To audiences, she was raw honesty. A two-time Oscar winner who spoke her mind when others hid behind polish. To Johnny Carson, she was a live wire. On paper, Shelley Winters was perfect for The Tonight Show. A long career, endless stories, a personality too big to bore. In reality, every booking came with anxiety. Because Shelley didn't converse. She detonated. A simple question about a film could turn into a 5-minute monologue about war, corruption, or personal trauma. No pauses, no exits, no humor to soften the blow. Johnny tried his signals. She ignored them. He tried humor. She bulldozed past it. A director once said hosting Shelley Winters was like trying to steer a tornado with a paper sign. It wasn't just verbal. Her reputation preceded her. Staff quietly removed glasses, ashtrays, anything throwable from the set whenever she was booked. No one wanted to be the next story. And yet, Johnny never hated her. Because beneath the volatility was something real. Shelley believed every word she said. She wasn't posturing. She wasn't acting. She cared, fiercely, messily, without filter. After one particularly intense appearance criticizing the Vietnam War, Johnny leaned back and sighed. I may not want a vacation with her, he said, but at least she means it. That distinction mattered. In time, her appearances grew less frequent. Not because she was cruel, but because late-night television thrives on rhythm, and Shelley lived in eruptions. Authenticity without restraint can still cause damage. Shelley Winters reminded Johnny Carson that truth, when delivered without care, can overwhelm rather than connect. She wasn't dangerous because she lied. She was dangerous because she never stopped speaking, even when the room needed silence. Jane Russell, when beliefs become weapons. Jane Russell carried herself like certainty. Not confidence, certainty. She came from an era where stars weren't questioned, only admired. To the public, she was a symbol of classic Hollywood strength and sexuality. Proud, unapologetic. At first, Johnny Carson saw no problem. Differing political views never bothered him. Disagreement was part of conversation. Debate could be healthy. But this wasn't debate. Backstage, Russell's opinions didn't stay abstract. They landed on people. Crew members began to notice the pattern: dismissive comments, sharp judgments, a tone that wasn't about ideas, but about who deserved respect. Then came the moment that shifted everything. A gay makeup artist was assigned to her. Routine, professional, experienced. Jane Russell refused to let him touch her. She demanded someone else. The room went still. Word traveled quickly, and it reached Johnny. He was furious. Not loud. Not theatrical. Quiet fury. Johnny had many close friends in the LGBTQ+ community. People he trusted. People who made his show work night after night. He believed a set should be a place of safety, especially for those with less power. This crossed a line. Later, when booking discussions included Rock Hudson, Russell made her position clear. She wouldn't appear on the same episode. The implication didn't need explanation. That was the final fracture. During a later appearance, Russell made dismissive comments about civil rights during a commercial break, comments that never made it to air but landed hard on the crew who heard them. Johnny listened and decided. After that night, Jane Russell quietly disappeared from The Tonight Show. No announcement, no confrontation, no second chances. Just absence. Everyone is entitled to their beliefs. No one is entitled to use them as a weapon. Jane Russell taught Johnny Carson that intolerance doesn't always shout. Sometimes it speaks calmly, confidently, and expects to be obeyed. And when beliefs dehumanize others, silence becomes complicity. Johnny chose silence on air, and distance forever after. Jerry Lewis, the man Johnny Carson called truly hateful. Jerry Lewis made America laugh. That was his magic. The wild faces, the physical chaos, the childlike energy that turned awkwardness into art. On television, he was generosity incarnate, the tireless humanitarian, the man who cried on stage while raising millions for sick children. Backstage, Johnny Carson saw a different man. From the moment Jerry arrived, tension followed. He interrupted constantly, talked over Johnny, hijacked conversations meant for other guests. During one appearance, he even reached over and adjusted Johnny's tie, without asking. A small gesture, a massive violation. Johnny hated being touched. Everyone knew that. Jerry knew it too. And that was the point. Crew members had it worse. He refused to learn names. Camera guy. Makeup girl. Hey. Experience meant nothing. Seniority meant nothing. One night during rehearsal, a cameraman coughed quietly, allergies. Jerry stopped everything. He screamed. Not at a mistake. Not at incompetence. At breathing. He berated the man, demanded he be removed, humiliated him in front of the room. The set went silent, not in shock, but recognition. This wasn't new. What haunted Johnny wasn't just the cruelty. It was the contrast. Hours earlier, Jerry had been crying on television, speaking passionately about helping children, about love, about compassion. Then he came backstage and treated adults like they were disposable. After Jerry's final appearance, Johnny didn't rant. He didn't explain. He said 2 words, "Never again." Years later, at a private dinner, someone asked Johnny what he really thought of Jerry Lewis. Johnny paused, then said something no one expected. "In a town full of phonies," he said, "he stands out as truly hateful." Cruelty wrapped in kindness is still cruelty. Jerry Lewis taught Johnny Carson the darkest lesson of all. That public virtue can be a costume. And some people use goodness itself as camouflage. Johnny tolerated ego. He tolerated nerves. He even tolerated chaos. What he never tolerated was cruelty toward those who couldn't fight back. And that, more than anything else, is why Jerry Lewis earned a place on Johnny Carson's blacklist. And never escaped it. Johnny Carson never set out to judge anyone. For 30 years, he listened. He laughed. He let America see the version of celebrities they wanted to believe in. But behind the curtain, Johnny saw something else. He learned that fame doesn't create character, it reveals it. Not in front of millions, but in quiet hallways, dressing rooms, and moments where no one thinks the spotlight is watching. Johnny tolerated ego. He tolerated eccentricity. He even tolerated chaos. What he never tolerated was cruelty, especially toward those with no power to defend themselves. Because in Johnny Carson's world, the true measure of a person was never talent. It was how they treated the people who could do nothing for them. And that may be the most uncomfortable truth of Hollywood's golden age. If this story made you look at fame differently, if it made you question the masks we celebrate, subscribe, because the next story goes even deeper into the shows, stars, and smiles that hid something far darker than anyone was prepared to see.